I'm gonna say it. Mose is the best Vault Hunter. Now, if you know me, you know I'm all about my Amara builds, and Amara is by far my favorite character to play. But with the recent patch, Mose is honestly just ridiculous now. But anyway, what's up guys, it's Rest. In today's video, I want to go over a brand new build for Mose that is involved all around her action skill, and that is Iron Bear. If you've been sticking around this channel for a very long time, and I mean very long, you'll know back before Borderlands 3 came out, 10 months ago, I made a build called Mose One Hot Bear build. Unfortunately, when the game came out, and later on throughout the life of the game, this build was not the greatest. It could do well in some scenarios, but it was never at the point where it could be a straight up build. But now, as we all know, since everything is scaled to Mayhem 10, this build is absolutely insane. So now 10 months later, I'm looking back at this build. We now have more skill points to use, skills that have changed, patches and hotfixes that have came through, and this build is now honestly one of the best builds in the entire game. Not just for Mose, but for all the Vault Hunters. This build lets you mob insanely well, boss insanely well, and you're doing it all inside of Iron Bear. You honestly never have to leave Iron Bear at all, and in most parts of the game, Iron Bear is actually better than Mose herself and all the guns that you can get in the game. So with all that being said, as always, my builds are located in my Discord channel. If you would like to download them, the link for my Discord will be in the description. If you download the build, enjoy the video, or find it helpful in any way, remember to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It's not necessary, but it really helps me out, and I truly appreciate it. But with all that being said, let's get into this insane build. Alright, so you can see I actually tried my hardest to make Mose look like D.Va as close as I could. And if you don't know who D.Va is, she's just an Overwatch character you actually saw at the beginning of this video. I couldn't decide if I wanted to go D.Va outfit or flaming outfit, but as you see, I chose D.Va because we're gonna just be getting in a mech suit all the time and destroying everything. But now, the gear for this build, which is probably what you're all interested in, you don't really need gear at all because this is an Iron Bear build, but some of this stuff does help out. I have an execute right here. The anointment doesn't matter whatsoever, but this essentially lets you apply debuffs when the gun is completely empty and you reload the gun. It's going to actually apply a 50% debuff to that target. So this is going to be really good for bossing. You can unload your magazine, reload it, get an Iron Bear, and melt a boss. Now we also have a Zets of Eruption, which I know I probably pronounced that wrong, but this also is going to apply a debuff, kind of like the execute, but the way this one is applied, when the gun overheats, it's going to shoot out these rockets, and all those rockets can go hit multiple enemies to apply debuffs, or they can hit a single target and apply a huge debuff. Both of these guns right here are just for debuffs. If you need to get up from fight for your life, this gun right here is actually pretty decent for getting up, but hopefully we'll never have to go and fight for our life because we're going to be an Iron Bear all the time, and we already have like decent survivability with some of the other gear. But then next we have a long musket. Never going to use this either, but on the anoint we have while action skills active, constantly trigger novas that deal 25,004 damage. This actually does work with Iron Bear. Essentially, you can just have this equipped, get an Iron Bear. So now not only is your Iron Bear going to do an insane amount of damage with your guns, you're also going to be releasing novas that, as you see, do around like 6 million damage to these skags. It's actually kind of crazy. This is going to help out enemies that try to come melee the bear, or just if you walk up to an enemy, it's going to release a nova that does a lot of damage, and it is very, very good. Definitely make sure to have this weapon equipped when you get in your Iron Bear, because essentially this is just giving you another attack method, and it doesn't really need that, but it's even more damage, and we like damage. But then I have an EMP5 right here. This is just to move quicker. This is also going to help with survivability, so you can just get out of a fight faster. EMP5 is always just nice to have to just move around the map. And we're going to want to be able to have an option to move around the map, because obviously Iron Bear is slow and cannot really fit through some spaces in the game. So being able to be very mobile and just get into the Iron Bear is really, really good. So then we have an old god, so we get 20% more incendiary damage. We're never really going to proc this anoint. When we get out of Iron Bear and we need to like kill enemies or proc cooldown perks to get back into it, this does help out. But the main thing, we're trying to use Iron Bear all the time and just get a ton of incendiary damage, and this helps us out a lot. Within my grenade, I have It's Pissed, so on grenade throw we get more weapon damage, grenade damage, actual damage for 6 seconds, and that is a 25% buff, plus It's Pissed also applies a 20% debuff to whatever it hits, so you can throw this and you're applying 20% debuff, plus you get 25% more damage with your action skill. It just lets you melt enemies, like it's actually crazy. But then I have a Raging Bear class mod right here. So if you don't know what the Raging Bear does, essentially whenever Iron Bear kills an enemy, it's going to get decreased fuel usage, and when Iron Bear takes damage, you do more damage. So doing more damage is already insane. As you see, we have splash damage radius, and actual cooldown rate. These are very, very, very good for this. Having that splash damage is going to buff your Iron Bear's weapons like crazy, because we're going to be using all splash damage stuff. The radius is going to let it hit more enemies, and its cooldown rate is going to be very good for getting back into it for when we get out. Then I have a Snowdrift Victory Rush, so we get bonus slap speed, and whenever we kill a bigger enemy, we get 18% more movement speed and damage for 60 seconds. Now, the main reason I'm using this is solely for the slide speed. This paired with the EMP5 is going to let you just zoom around the map really, really quick, and it's very good for survivability. You can get out of an area to start shooting an enemy, to start building your cooldown rate back up. This build is so similar to D.Va, it's actually crazy. You're going to be in your suit all the times. When it breaks, or eventually if you just get out of it, your main goal is to build your cooldown back up instead of trying to kill enemies with your gear. But now this is also giving you 3,521 max health, 27% max cooldown rate, and 43% air effect damage. More health is going to let Iron Bear have more health when we get into it. We're going to have like 1,000,000 some armor on Iron Bear, which is ridiculous. 27% actual cooldown rate, very good for getting back in your Iron Bear. And then area of effect damage is going to buff basically splash damage, so you're doing even more damage. It's really, really good. But then I have some other weapons over here. So we have a Nighthawk with an annoying after accident Iron Bear. Kills increase Iron Bear's cooldown rate for 30%. This is pretty good. You don't really ever have to use this with all your skills, but I'm including it just in case you want to try it out. And I also have another one where with the same annoying, it's like I said, you don't really have to use these, but if you would like to, I'm definitely going to include them. But the main one that I'm also including is this Ogre right here, and this one is very, very fun. On after accident Iron Bear gain 160% splash damage for 18 seconds. This is really, really good for taking out enemies. After you get out of Iron Bear and you need to kill enemies, I would definitely recommend putting this on. This is essentially a mini version of Iron Bear for what we're going to be using, and it is very, very fun. But now to talk about that, I'm going to go over here to Iron Bear real quick. The action skill we're going to be using for the majority of the time is the minigun with exploding bullets. So essentially this is going to let your miniguns shoot out grenades that are going to explode, do splash damage. And the Ogre is essentially that, but faster. And obviously you don't have to be in your action to use it. Now it's not going to do as much damage obviously, but it is very, very fun. It's like a little mini version of the main theme of this build. But now I get into the skills of this build. We're going to start on bottomless mags. I'm putting 5 points in Cloud with Lead, so every 4th shot does not consume ammo, and we get 11.25% bonus incendiary damage, which is really, really good. This build is based all around splash damage and incendiary damage for your Iron Bear, and this is going to help that out a lot. But then I put 1 point Doc Bear. This can be a pretty fun skill if you're playing the co-op to get that 50% bonus damage, but I had a leftover skill point, so I just threw it in here. But then I have 3 points Stoked Ember, so we get 30% bonus incendiary damage. As I said, we're trying to buff our incendiary damage as much as possible, so this is obviously a very good skill for that. A solid 30% damage is actually an insane amount of damage. So our shield is going to give us 20% more damage as well. But then I have 1 point redistribution, so whenever we get a critical, we get Ember regeneration, health regeneration, and this is going to help out a lot with survivability. Essentially, when you get out of Iron Bear, which hopefully will never happen, you can just hit a crit to start regenerating your health. But to also help out with survivability, we're also going to be taking rush and offensive, so whenever we're sprinting and shooting, we're getting 8% life to whatever enemy we're hitting. And to help rush and offensive, I also putting 5 points to Scrappy, so when we're running, we're getting more damage, more handling, more weapon slot speed, and more motion speed. Pretty good. This is going to pair really well with rush and offensive, obviously, because this is all while sprinting or moving. You're getting these bonuses. But then 5 point Scorching RPM, so we're getting 15% more fire rate, 20% more critical hit damage, and 25% more Iron Bear damage. This is really, really good for Iron Bear because this is just a solid 25% damage bonus for Iron Bear. But then we're putting 1 point Specialist Bear, so when we're using 2 of the same weapons on Iron Bear, we're getting 60% more damage. And as you see, like I said, we're going to run miniguns twice, and if we ever swap over to bossing, we can run the Vanquisher Rocket Pod right here. You can use the minigun for bossing. The Vanquish rocket pod is honestly disgusting for bossing. It absolutely just lets you melt enemies, and since you're going to just use these two, no augments, you can straight up just get that 60% damage bonus and go to town on an enemy. But now I'm putting 1 point security bear right here so we can get a bubble shield. This is going to help out a lot if we get out of Iron Bear. The shield is just going to protect you and Iron Bear so it can get kills to keep reprocking your cooldown rate. Plus, you're also just not going to take as much damage with this skill, which is really, really good. But now getting into Demolitionist Woman, this is the Iron Bear skill tree, basically. I'm putting 5 points in Fire in the Skag Den, so whenever we do splash damage, we're getting bonus incendiary damage. Now, if you remember, the minigun does splash damage, so we're getting bonus incendiary damage right there. Plus, we have things like Stoke the Embers, that is helping us get bonus incendiary damage. And Cloud of Glitter is also giving us bonus incendiary damage. It is insane, and you can just destroy enemies with this. But then I have 3 points and Deadlines right here. This is going to give you fuel back when you kill an enemy, and also Iron Bear is draining less fuel. Now, this is obviously going to pair really, really well with our class mod, so if you kill an enemy, we get decreased fuel usage. Plus, it's also bumping this to 5 points, so we get a lot more fuel return, and fuel drain is already just reduced. This is what is allowing you to stay in Iron Bear for entirety, and it is insane. But then I have 5 points in Grizzled right here, so we get 5 seconds of cooldown rate whenever we kill an enemy. So we get minus 5 seconds on our Iron Bear cooldown time whenever we kill an enemy. Now this skill does have diminishing returns, but with the cooldown rate already from your shield and artifact, this is going to help out with that too. Even if it's just a small amount, I'm trying to get as much cooldown rate as physically possible so we can get back into our suit, even if it is just a slight amount. So having this is going to be really, really well. The Iron Bear itself can actually proc this skill, which is really good for Auto Bear, which we're putting 1 point into. So when we jump out, Iron Bear stays active for 15 seconds, which is really nice. And it can basically just reproc its own cooldown with Grizzle, and you can just get back into it again. But then 5 points of Stainless Steel Bear. This is giving you more maximum fuel, more Iron Bear armor, and more Iron Bear damage. Plus, it's getting buffed to 8 with our class mod. This is going to be just an overall good skill for Iron Bear. Obviously, all those are really good. Fuel lets you stay longer, armor lets you take more damage, which in return lets you stay longer, and damage lets you kill everything. 5 points in Torque Cross Promotion, so we get 30% more splash damage and a 15% chance to double our splash damage radius. So basically, this is just going to let you do more damage. Plus, every now and then, we have a nuke that comes out, basically, and can kill a lot of things at once with one shot. We already talked about Auto Bear, but then 5 points in Vampire right here. This is going to let you restore 20% of missing health per enemy hit with your grenades. This can be okay with the It's Piss, but we're mainly using this for the second benefit, where when Iron Bear deals area damage, Iron Bear actually is restoring health. So hitting enemies with your minigun is actually healing your armor in your Iron Bear, and you already have an insane amount of health in your Iron Bear. Like I said, you have like 1 million, but this is going to let you heal that health when you take damage. And obviously when you're taking damage with your class mod, you're getting more damage, and everything is just synergizing so well, and it's actually kind of crazy how much damage you can put out with this. Now, speaking of damage you can put out with this, you can kill yourself, and since you're doing splash damage, you definitely do not need to be shooting near you. Keep a distance, because I'm telling you, these miniguns, if you shoot the ground, like 2 to 3 shots can destroy the 1 million armor Iron Bear health. It's actually kind of ridiculous how much damage you're doing. So definitely keep a distance, and you're taking damage, you're getting more damage, and you're healing that damage with this skill. Very, very good. But then 5 points in Explosive Punctuation. So whenever we do explosive damage, we get 40% more actual cooldown rate. This paired with everything else we're doing, we're trying, like I said, we're trying to get our cooldown back as soon as possible. Half the time, if we ever get out or Iron Bear breaks, we can just get back in Iron Bear like that. Very, very simple, and it is super, super good. But then finally, 1 point in Short Fuse. So all our weapons have a chance to explode, which is 20% chance. Plus, that explosion does 75% of our gun damage. This is going to help proc Explosive Punctuation. Plus, it also does a lot of damage to help kill enemies, to proc Grizzle, to get back into your suit. So all of these skills are working together to buff your Iron Bear damage. This is, like I said, this is not a build or focus around Moze. It's all around Iron Bear. If that's what you want, this is definitely the build for you. So that is it for this build. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said throughout this whole video, this is a Iron Bear focused build. Do not expect to be doing a ton of damage with Moze. You can put out some damage with some of the stuff I'm including with this build, like the Ogre, but 99% of the gear is to help just get back into Iron Bear or either proc debuffs to do more damage with Iron Bear. As you've seen from the gameplay, Iron Bear absolutely shreds, and it has made Moze one of the best characters in the game right now. But like I said in the beginning of the video, my builds are located in my Discord channel if you'd like to download them. The link to the Discord will be in the description. If you download the build, enjoy the video, find it helpful in any way, remember to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It's not necessary, but it really helps me out, and I truly appreciate it. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.